Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to another episode of my F1 2020 My Team Career Mode, episode number 9 today for the Canadian Grand Prix in Season 1. If you guys did miss the previous episode of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, then be sure to go check that one out before you see this one. A pretty damn decent race, actually. A last lap overtake really did it for us, and we solidified those last points paying positions, and all round a very good positive Grand Prix for us. And so we come forward into this one. At the end of last episode, I said I was quite surprised that we're already back over $2 million. So it was a big money payout episode for sure. I think also we managed to not spend as much money previously as well, even though we did make that aero facility upgrade, of course. So we've got over $2 million to spend on some more upgrades. So we'll do that in a second. But first and foremost, looking at the activity timeline, we've only got 2 days here, which is a bit odd because it feels like we kind of jumped 3 days, and then now we're like in the middle of the week for this timeline. But either way, we've got 2 days to fill. We're going to go with this sponsor event. It'll cost us a little bit, but I'll get 200 on the team acclaim. Not really too much choice there, to be honest, and the others didn't really suit. Well, it didn't really take my fancy, to be fair. And obviously, as always, just trying to boost that acclaim as much as we can, because I think at level 10, I'm pretty sure, is when we unlock a third sponsor on the secondary one, so we're not too far away. Maybe the next 2 episodes we'll be able to get a new sponsor in the car, and that's an extra revenue stream, which is obviously very important. But now we look at some more upgrades potentially on the HQ. So just previously in the last 2 episodes, you guys voted for where we'd spend that 2.5 million, it was actually in the end, on upgrades, and we did the aeros you guys voted for as my board of directors. And so this time there wasn't really time to do a vote in between. We've got the 2 million here, so I wanted to spend the money straight away without giving you guys the vote, but we already kind of did one before, so I don't want to bombard you guys with votes every single episode basically, because you won't be able to keep up essentially, I think. But we're going to go ahead and purchase another upgrade on the aero facility, so in a way continuing that work that you guys kind of voted on essentially. But I felt like we'd just go for aero because I think it's a very important one, and also we've already got the upgrades, the base level upgrades, the kind of first tier on the engine side. Like all the engine HQ upgrades now, the ones we've got looking through, all cost like 5 million, 3 million at least, a lot of money. So I feel like we should really get everything to that base level, like level 1 on everything before we start going on, because then we'll have because if we don't, we'll kind of have a bit of a top-heavy sort of thing where it's skewed way too much to one department. And even though that's worked in the past, I guess in R&D terms, I think in HQ terms, it's not the best way to go about it. I think we should all try and level everything up as we go on, minus the personnel and the marketing. That's a bit of a different situation. But having said that, actually, I do want to very much at some point, I think maybe, I don't know, maybe like episode 12, 13, start maybe just drawing a line in the sand and kind of saving a lot to try and upgrade the marketing side one more step, because as I said, I feel like that's quite an important area long term to get cash, and ultimately cash is the kind of king in this career mode now. But yeah, another HQ upgrade on the aero side of things. That was for the resource point generation, so it's not actually an upgrade we'll tangibly be able to see on the R&D chart or the kind of time of upgrades, but it will mean we get R&D faster, the R&D points. So in a way, we'll be able to make the upgrades quicker. So we'll see it in that kind of way. But yeah, a nice kind of spread of different upgrades we've got going on. And so we're only one upgrade in the aero side away from pretty much matching what we've got on the engine side, which is pretty cool to see as we're only at episode 9. So building up that quite fast, but to be fair, we've actually got, quite a good amount of payouts as of late with the 2 sponsors. Getting those 2 was especially important at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. But we move through to the R&D chart itself now, looking at upgrades to make, and having a look, I was tempted to go further south on the R&D tree and go for that major drag reduction update, but now, the straight line speed, it's okay. It could be better on our car, for sure. There have been instances where I've got frustrated at not being able to pass someone in a straight line, but at the same time, the car, I think, just needs some downforce now at this stage. I really started feeling it around kind of, Spain, Monaco, Azerbaijan. There were instances, points in the race where we just needed downforce, so we can afford a major front downforce package. I'm hoping sooner rather than later we can purchase a rear one to balance that out, but these 2 now, they're major upgrades, so those will take longer now. So it is now the point of the season where we start making upgrades that are going to, obviously benefit us quite a lot, but the build time is so much more, so it's really now a long-term payout in terms of when we'll see these. But hopefully, just like that has been the case in previous career modes on previous games, there'll be that point of the season where everything just kind of clicks, and that, you know, we just get upgrades coming thick and fast, and they rapidly improve us. And so towards the end of the season, I'm hoping we can try and really get in amongst that kind of midfield fight on paper on the R&D. But I say on paper because, to be fair, at Azerbaijan we had some very good pace, you know, tyre wear, whatnot, always factors in. But obviously we want to try and really get up there with performance on the R&D chart. And just one last thing, this actually technically came in the middle of the race weekend. You're about to see it, Canada, but I thought it would just be easier to kind of show it here. So we did beat Grosjean in our teammate battle, so we got that extra acclaim for beating him in. But now we've got to choose another rival. So we've been given 3 different options here. Obviously the level of difficulty means that there's more acclaim on offer, but obviously you have to actually go out and beat them, otherwise you don't get that extra acclaim. So in all of these, I'm actually going to go for the quote-unquote easiest one here, but it's the one that, honestly, the only one I think we can actually beat consistently is Esteban Ocon. He's been quite, well, both Renaults have been quite slow as of late, because they've really dropped down the R&D chart, but Ocon especially, we've been finding Esteban on track a lot of times, especially at Azerbaijan, so I think we have to go for him. I think the other 3, I don't see them enough on track, especially Gasly. I mean, he's so consistent in this career mode so far. Norris, the McLarens have been wavering a little bit, but generally speaking, they should be beating us. And then Ricciardo, he's a little bit better than Ocon, I feel, on the game, so I think Ocon is the better bet and the safer bet to actually get that acclaim, rather than trying and failing and not getting it in the end. But now then, with the admin on the management side of things all done and dusted, we're ready to go then to the race weekend for the Canadian Grand Prix. Now, if you're new to the channel, you don't know, Canada is usually historically my favourite race to come to. It's my favourite, has been my favourite circuit on the game ever since I started playing Formula 1 games. I don't know what it is about Montreal, just the flow, the ebb. I've also got some great memories as a Formula 1 fan, obviously, around Canada, alluding to kind of, you know, that link to Jenson Button. But as a circuit on the game, I love to drive it. One of my favourite ones to drive. Although, I say that, on this year's game, it was a little bit iffy, you know. Sector 1, I think it was just this car. I think obviously this car we've got in my team is very different to any of the cars that you can actually play as, you know, that are real-life Formula 1 cars. So I think the downforce levels maybe just aren't as high or high enough for me to enjoy it. But Sector 1 was an absolute nightmare to just do throughout practice and then into qualifying. This first run you're seeing right now, the first flying lap, Sector 1, there was no turning on turn 1, turns 2, or even 3, 4. So it was it kind of lost its flow for me personally. And so that first run, it was, I didn't know, it seemed okay right now because we're actually P13 there. By the time we get through to the second one, we're P17 though, so we do have to improve. But we have already gone a lot quicker than Mick Schumacher, which is kind of normal. I always historically do so much better than my AI teammate at Canada, just because that's how much I like the circuit and go well at it. But at the moment, you got the likes of Leclerc in the top left that you can see that I've not set a blistering time yet. So P17 right now, and even though we're getting about 3 tenths nearly, it's a little bit confusing to see where we're going to be really. So here we come through across the line for the second run. Just over or just under 4 tenths gain there, 3.7, and we're up into P12, which is really flying high right now, and we maintain that to the end of the session. But then as we go on, unfortunately, that kind of classic thing that sometimes does happen in the F1 game is from the kind of, you know, the end screen to the loading screen, the final results, a load of people set faster times, and so we went from P12 all the way down to back down to P17 basically. We just missed out on Q2, you know, gaining, you know, 2 tenths more could have got us through, and I'm gonna be honest, I think 2 tenths was on the table. I think I still, those 2 tenths I was probably losing in Sector 1, because like I said, it just wasn't very flowing for me. Like, I felt like I was having to brake so much into turn 1 just to get the car slowed down, whereas on the previous game, I felt it was so much more flowing. So I don't know if it's a case of this car, or if actually they have actually changed the track a little bit, because obviously there are plenty of circuits on this year's game that they've changed the layout and like widened or narrowed because of the real-life Formula 1 drivers telling them how it has been over this kind of whole kind of lockdown period, you know, them playing the game on the virtual GP races. So yeah, I don't know what it was. So hoping that the race pace could be better, but at least I'm happy that the time gap is there to Schumacher. So at least, you know, maybe where the car is, I'm definitely still performing as I feel I should be against Schumacher, especially around my favourite circuit in the F1 game. Like I said, I always have this massive time gap to my teammates because I'm able to kind of extract that extra time just due to me liking the circuit so much. So let's go to the race then. It's going to be overcast. Hopefully the rain kind of stays away because I'd rather it be dry and then kind of get a real sense of what the race pace is like. And let's just go out there and hopefully I can enjoy the track a little bit more under race conditions rather than qualifying.
Hello and welcome to the Ile Notre Dame once again for what promises to be another incredible Canadian Grand Prix at a fiercely competitive circuit, where pole position can often be decided by less than 1/10 of a second. We'll be seeing top speeds of around 210 miles an hour here at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, with around 2/3 of the lap taken at full throttle. High-speed chicanes spell potential danger, especially at the infamous Wall of Champions. And watch out for overtaking into the hairpin and the final chicane. Anthony Davidson is alongside me as usual for the race today. Now, let's talk about Charles Leclerc. That was a great win in the last race. Can they keep that momentum going this weekend?
It's always nice to come into a Grand Prix weekend on a high, but your expectations are based much more on your practice and qualifying runs. So it's the momentum from those sessions that they'll be hoping to carry into the race today.
With the race minutes away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Good job yesterday from Valtteri Bottas. The Finn starts from pole position, and it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Vettel, Leclerc, Max Verstappen, and Albon, Stroll, Raikkonen, Ricciardo, and Lando Norris, Gasly, Ocon, Daniel Kvyat, and Giovinazzi, a Mercedes, Sainz, Romain Grosjean and Sergio Perez. They've taken a grid penalty. Magnussen, Russell, Schumacher and Nicholas Latifi. Now, it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
So we're actually a little bit higher up on the grid then, because 2 people had penalties, so we're now moved up to P15. So that's a pretty nice boost to our race potentially. You know, we're now only 5 places away, maybe from points-paying positions, which is always the aim, I feel, right now at this stage where our car is, just trying to get those last few points, as we did at Azerbaijan. Strategy-wise, it's either a 2-stop either way, which really suits me. I'm loving this, but I'm going to go with a more aggressive one, the soft tire to 2 set of mediums, and hopefully just have very consistent pace. The mediums, historically in the last 8 episodes, has been a very good tyre for me in the races. So feeling quite confident about my chances now, having looked at those strategies. So let's go out there and have some fun and hopefully try and score some points as we go to 5 red lights to the Canadian Grand Prix. 5 red lights are out and we're underway for round number 9 of this season. It's a great getaway and launch compared to Giovinazzi, just trying to thread the needle through down the inside of the AlphaTauri, and Ocon on the inside there, the Frenchman on the right, squeezing me back out though, and now we've got Gio going round or outside. So instead of actually overtaking 2-3 cars, we've been re-overtaken all over, and we're back to square one, back to P15. So the AI seemed really punchy in the last few episodes. Definitely have caught me napping, which is very rare, but as we talk about that, we send one down the inside and catch Gio napping again essentially, and get him round on the outside for that exit right hand turn. We're up into P14 then, and straight on the back of our new rival Esteban Ocon. So obviously we already kind of met him into turn 1, so that's what I mean. We constantly are meeting him on circuit now as our pace kind of equalises, I guess, with the Renault team going backwards and we're trying to go forwards on the R&D and upgrades. We've got yellow flags behind, so there may be an issue for one of the cars that maybe had a grid penalty. I don't know, because I think 2 people had to take them for engine components, but maybe one of them has still got issues on their cars. We swing through the last corner, grazing the Wall of Champions. That was lovely, a panning shot, and we continue to try and apply pressure onto Ocon, and so much so that he locks up, and there's a bit of a wobble there for him as he tries to control the car. The same thing for us on the exit of turn 2, using a bit of ERS mode, but unable to actually make a move. I was really hoping we could make a move around the outside, but just didn't have the momentum. But we're continuing to apply pressure onto the Frenchman, who's losing some pace compared to Kvyat. We lock up as we go very deep, but in the end, Ocon's so wide on the exit that he actually leaves some room, and we actually end up trying to battle him. We're nearly side by side. Now we fully are, using plenty of overtake mode here early on in the Grand Prix. Big dive down the inside, very close to going fully off circuit, but we just about keep it through. But because we had such a poor exit, because we went too hot to that corner, we now find ourselves 3 wide. The Alfa Romeo down my inside as well, as Ocon tried to re-overtake me, and so it's all kicking off for us now early doors at the Canadian Grand Prix, as the AlphaTauris both up ahead of us, unawares of the absolute titanic battle happening here. Giovinazzi now side by by side with Esteban Ocon in towards the end of lap number 2. Nice and easy, and then trying to get a good exit there, close to the wall, power on, and look behind us, and Giovinazzi is ahead of Ocon, but that was very close. It was a big old dive on Ocon there, and we got it so crossed up that we almost lost the position then, on the next straight into the hairpin, but just managed to hold that through. That was a very awkward 3 wide moment, to be honest, because I didn't really know where Giovinazzi was going to be, but we've held it through, and now we can continue to try and chase after the 2 Alpha Tauris, Fiat and Gasser, respectively, the team we're always, or have been trying to fight as best we can in the Constructors' Championship. We've been locked in. Yellow flags, though, up ahead, and on the minimap, there is a car slow, and I think that may be a failure of some sort. Yes, massive engine failure, and it's all very close, and the engine smoke kind of covered off where the cars were. Didn't really even know that Norris was there in the middle, so Norris must have got held up a treat there by Dan Ricciardo. So on the Renaults is out of this Grand Prix, so their season's going from bad to worse as Renault lose pace in R&D and lose pace, in terms of losing a car out of this Grand Prix, as we're now on the back of Fiat on lap number 5, and we go round the outside with a banger of a dive bomb. What a move that was! Round the outside, lock up on the front right, but just about slow the car down. And that was a very late lunge. I was getting quite frustrated that we weren't able to make a passing Fiat on the previous lap, so just had to go for it. Absolute full send ahead. And we've made it work up into P11 then. Fantastic stuff. And now Lando Norris finds himself ahead of us. Obviously, he got held up, I think. I think he must have been right behind Ricciardo as he had the engine failure. And then that's how, obviously, Gasly was able to overtake him. So, again, Gasly finding himself in a very high position. He's been one of the star kind of performers in the midfield, I must say, in our career mode at least. I'm not too sure about any of you guys, but for sure, Gasly just had to be, of course, for me personally, Gasly's AI is the one performing the best in the midfield, it would seem, out driving and dragging his car up the order as we continue to just keep up with Norris, to be fair, because Norris is caught up behind Gasly, who definitely has a little bit slower pace, I think, than the Brit would like, and so that means we're actually able to keep pace with the McLaren car, and the tyre wear's not feeling too bad as well, as the pit window opens up on the right-hand side. Lap 9, we're up into P9, as a few people have already made that first pit stop, so 3 positions there for us, but of course we'll pit eventually, but the tyre wear's not that bad, so I might continue on for longer than initially we planned, just try and, stretch it a little bit, because if I feel like I've got pace, I may as well do that and give myself a better chance at the end of the race as well, on fresher mediums maybe. And on the end of lap 9, you can see there through the hairpin, very close to Norris, and he's really slow. I think he's facing a lot of tyre wear, almost like I think he did the same thing at Azerbaijan. He's facing a lot of tyre wear then, and we're going to make a massive dive down the inside, slow the thing down, and it's a great overtake, and Norris continues on. I thought for a second there he was slowing up a little bit to come into the pit lane, but he continues on with us. So we just legit overtook a McLaren car there. Nice dive on Norris. So, yeah, I don't really know what was going on. I think if he's got some issue on the car, I don't know. For some reason, he's just very slow, but we come out just ahead of the Bottas then. We're trying to let him through, and he just doesn't want to overtake us, so it's like Azerbaijan all over again. I don't want to really fight Bottas, but I'm fighting him nonetheless, but I literally lifted off trying to let him through into that chicane because he's already made his pit stop. That's how quick he is. That's how out of sync of the Grand Prix is, so I'm trying to let him through. He goes by eventually on the second straight, but my word, Bottas for some reason just fancies battling us in this season, okay? So we're now in on lap number 10. I wonder if that's going to come back to bite us, later on in like seasons 2 and 3, once we've got a car to fight the Mercedes cars. If Bottas is still in the Mercedes car, I wonder if we'll be battling him for the championship or whatnot and later down the line, because he seems to love battling us right now. But anyway, we're in the pit stops. We've strapped on a set of medium tyres, and we come in on the same lap as Lando and also on the Alpha Tauri. So at the moment, still in a fight with the McLaren for somehow. I don't know really how, but we'll see how this really progresses, and if the pace is still there on the mediums as Norris comes out just ahead of the Racing Point car of Sergio Perez as we move through onto lap number 12, and now the McLaren is on the back of us, and maybe Norris has found that pace once again that he had in qualifying as he goes down the inside, and we really couldn't defend much there. We used a bit of ERS, but also remember, I need to save ERS for later in this race, but we had to get such a poor exit that Perez just mugs us off there on the exit. We're not having any of that, so we dive back down the inside of him there to try and keep the position, but the Racing Point out of nowhere giving us a good fight. He's there on the exit, still side by side with us with the proximity arrow in red, using a lot of ERS here that I didn't want to use, but I was forced to, because we have to try and stay ahead of Perez if we can, because even though we may not have the pace really on paper to keep the McLaren and Racing Point at bay, we may as well try our best to keep them, keep them at bay. But the McLaren just waltzed past us, and although we catch up to Norris a little bit in a straight line here in the corners, eventually he's just going to pull away from us basically, and then we move on later into this stint, lap number 14, and in the same place as last time, we lose a massive amount of time to Perez on the exit there. For some reason, we just don't have the exit. Maybe my racing line's a little bit rubbish around there. It always has been actually around Canada, to be fair, and especially the last 2 games, the AI are always so great off that corner compared to myself. Don't know about you guys, but we now go toe-to-toe again. It's a great battle, to be fair, literally rubbing tyre sidewalls, but in a straight line, he has it. He has DRS, and there's no point. There's no point wasting ERS trying to keep up with him with DRS open for him, because I'm just going to feel the pain of that later on in the Grand Prix. But at the moment, it just seems the pace we had on soft tyres is not there on the mediums, and I'm actually not really liking the mediums here around Montreal, as Kvyat now is behind us, and we're being swamped, and these guys, I think they've got a lot of ERS to use. They must have not used a lot in Stint 1 compared to myself, because Kvyat now trying a switchback on us, so we've just been switchbacked by someone. He didn't really make it work. On the exit, he's still kind of there, but he's not fully alongside us. We open up DRS, and thankfully we were within 1 second to get DRS off Perez, so that helps us a little bit maintaining that position. But already I'm kind of wincing at how much ERS we've already had to use in all these battles, and to no end really, because we've been overtaken by 2 of these cars. At least we've kept ahead of Kvyat, but really frustrating times of lacking some pace in this second stint. As we move on then to lap 22, ahead of us is Norris. We're up into P10 as Perez has already pit for his second stop, and now Norris comes in along with Gasly, the other racing point of Stroll as well, and Kvyat behind us. But we continue on because our pit window opened up on lap 20, it was actually, but we continue on and push on, because when I was battling Bottas briefly, I saw he was on a second set of soft tyres, and that got me thinking, you know, I didn't feel too bad on the softs, and clearly these mediums, for whatever reason, just didn't have the same pace for us compared to the soft tyres, compared to, you know, even when we're on the same tyre as everyone else, basically. So I thought, let's stretch the medium, because I was able to stretch the soft tyres quite well, so we should be able to go a few more laps. Maybe there won't be 2 quick laps on the medium tyres, so we'll lose some time here stretching this stint, but it means we can strap on a set of soft tyres, 10 laps to go, and we should have that same lightning pace we had on Stint 1. And so even though we're probably going to come out behind a load of cars, we'll have the pace, low fuel, and let's have some fun out there and try and push hard and see where we can come at the end of this Grand Prix. So we're here now on lap 25, coming in for that pit stop, and we have set it to a set of soft tyres, as you can see on the bottom right, going nice and aggressive. At the moment, we're in P7, and now on the bottom right, you can see there that red front wing, the orangish front wing. That means the DRS, I believe, has failed on our car. So we've made a good pit stop. 2 seconds is all right, I guess. But we're going to come out in P14 then. So we are behind everyone we were racing. We're behind Kvyat, we're behind the McLaren of sight. I don't know where Norris is, but we're behind one of the McLaren, and we're behind that Racing Point car. But now our DRS has failed, I'm pretty sure.
It's a fault to the DRS. You won't be able to open the rear wing. We're working on a fix. Stay out.
So yeah, our DRS has failed at one of the most crucial points in the entire race. For us, we literally just talked about doing an aggressive strategy on the soft tyres to overtake these guys, and now one of the biggest aids to overtaking here, the DRS, is disabled. We don't have it. So here we are, lap 27, very frustrated because I can't even counteract it with, you know, overusing overtake mode, because then I don't have any ERS to use for overtakes, you know, full stop. So I basically can't even, like, you know, make up for the lack of DRS with anything apart from some rich mix and just trying to absolutely drive the wheels off this thing. You're setting personal best lap times in sectors 2 and 3, but at the moment unable to make a pass. You can see getting frustratingly, you know, looking around the outside of Kvyat, but just to no end. So we've got all these cars ahead of us, which I think we're faster than most of them now on the soft tyres, because we're the only car in this pack on softs. But at the moment, I just can't make a pass. And here you can see I'm actually physically being held up by Kvyat into the hairpin. But then the exit, it doesn't matter because I'm using ERS, rich mix. But at this stage, I would love DRS to open to help me out, but I just don't. And we're already lowering on the ERS because I'm using overtake mode a little bit more, you know, even if I don't want to. and we're going down to lower figures on the end of that lap, and we're using it again on the exit here, trying to maybe get a pass done, but just not looking likely. Late under brakes, maybe some momentum here around the outside. Oh, you know what? It looks like we found some momentum here, and we go the long way round, and we've made the pass to Kvyat. Use overtake mode a little bit more on the exit. Try and squeeze him. No, Kvyat dives back down the inside. It's a great battle. Kvyat tried his hardest, but we've got the job done. We've overtaken someone without DRS there. Just a little bit of a better line as we go. Oh no, we go very wide as Kvyat tries to send one to the inside. Max Verstappen is out of the Canadian Grand Prix. The Red Bull is out, so that's one free position. So we're P13 now. It'll be P12 soon enough with that DNF, I think, just up the road. But we made an overtake without DRS there into turn 1. Great stuff. We kind of, broke a little bit later, tightened up turn 1, and then swung it round and used the tyres, the tyre difference to have that extra grip to go around the outside. Very nice pass up into P12. And now, as we move on to lap 30, we're catching up to Carlos Sainz once again after losing time, battling Kvyat. And up ahead of him is Sergio Perez, right underneath Ocon, who is trying a one-stop, and he's on hard tyres. So he's holding up Perez a treat, but we close up very much to Sainz because there's a concertina effect there with Ocon to Perez to Sainz. And look at that on the exit, bit of a wobble for Sainz, so he's feeling the tyre wear on his medium tyre. So I guess the McLaren cars are just not really great on their tyres around here at Montreal. As we have a look, you saw there we got a great exit. We were neck and neck with Carlos Sainz, but the lack of DRS is just a nightmare. But we have to continue on because there may be some positions still to get, because Ocon is looking very, very weak there on the hard tyres. Perez has overtaken him. Now Sainz around the outside to the inside there. Bit of contact, and we get very close to rear-ending Sainz, but kind of a blockade, nowhere to go on the circuit for me. But you can see clearly mid-corner, like on these apexes, I'm getting such great traction compared to these guys because I'm on the fastest compounder tyre and have the least tyre wear of everyone. But it's just so hard without DRS because at the end of the day, I'm not getting that much of a great exit to these corners to just make the pass on traction alone. As you can see clearly here, good traction on Ocon, but a blip of overtake mode. Unable to make a pass though because Ocon has DRS still off Sainz. But now, can we make a move into the hairpin? I'm just going to go for it. These guys have been so slow to the hairpin. We're going to send it to the inside. Easy does it there. Just kind of feather the throttle off. And now Sainz, you saw there with a poor exit. And hallelujah, there we go. Bottom right, DRS is back activated. Thank you very much. Aarava Archer Racing Team back on the pit wall. We've got DRS working again. And we now shoot past Carlos Sainz. And we're up into P10 of the Grand Prix. What fantastic timing that was. That was the best timing I could have asked for. Overtook Ocon with a nice dive. And then as I got a good exit with Sainz hitting some tyre wear, DRS activated, back on the car. Good overtake, and now, how about this? Once again, in the last dying stages of the Grand Prix, we get back into the point-paying positions. P10, it's been a long old race. I didn't think we were going to get points. I thought we were battling for P12 to 13. But, with obviously Verstappen and Ricciardo out this Grand Prix, 2 free positions there. Also, the McLaren's looking very poor on tyre wear for some reason, or at least Sainz was at the end there. And so we come through across the line for P10. It's only one championship point, but it's one very hard-fought one. And you know what? Qualifying may have been quite hard for us, but that race was very, very fun, and that was flowing. So that is, once again, why it's one of my favourite circuits. The pace we had at the end, good fun on the soft tyres, did the job.
That's it then for another magnificent Canadian Grand Prix, and they've hung on to take a sublime victory here today. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
I think that smart tyre management on track and very smooth driving definitely assisted in their victory today. That combination meant they got the absolute maximum out of their tyres at all times.
Mercedes are on top form once again after an excellent race weekend. It's great to see them up on that podium once again.
So Hamilton won the Canadian GP. Nice punchback for him and the Mercedes team, I'm sure, after the Ferrari guys have been doing such a good job in the last 2 races to be so consistent up there. So good punchback for them, and for the sake of the kind of, AI championship that I'm still kind of looking at, and will be quite interesting to see how that pans out. But for us then, yeah, P10, 1 point, very good stuff there. Very, very happy because, like I said, especially in the second stint, I really didn't think we were going to get anything there because the pace was so slow. But inspired decision to kind of, take inspiration inspiration from Bottas and used the soft tires at the end there, really paid out. And the drama with DRS, I mean, it was literally perfect timing, like fairy tale timing, that we made the dive and then got the DRS straight away back on the car to overtake Sainz, because otherwise I actually don't think we would have got Sainz, because that McLaren was pretty good in straight line, even without DRS, and we didn't have too much ERS to play around with because I was using so much to counteract a lack of DRS. So in the championship then, though, Gasly did finish ahead of us. Again, Gasly, so consistent this season that AlphaTauri get up into P7 there. We were level on points, remember, going into this one, but they now get that P7 again. But Renault now are looking very, well, not great is bad English for me, but they don't look great. And AlphaTauri level on points to them. So, you know what? I reckon AlphaTauri looks so consistent, so I think they're going to be up into P6 soon enough. So Renault are becoming, surprisingly, actually a target for us. I think we can get Renault. They've been very poor in the last few races, so I think we can get Renault. AlphaTauri, though, continues to be quite difficult because they're so either both Gasly or Kvyat. Either two of them, one of them gets in the points every single race somehow. So they're just very hard to stick with. But we'll try our best, of course. But obviously our rival is Ocon, who we're beating so far right now. But it'd be kind of cool to battle Renault as a team as well as Ocon as a rival on track. But both sponsor objectives done for DSB Optics and pay night there, so a good 440k added on bonus. But then for some reason we got -50 on car damage deductions, but I don't really remember hitting too many things. I'm trying to think back in that race, like we may brush the wall, so I feel like in this game it's a little bit too harsh on you for damages if you just brush the wall here and there and whatnot, but oh well, that gets deducted from us. So we have now $1.69 million, so not quite 2 million over to make some upgrades, but next episode I'm sure we'll earn, but obviously we did just spend money on HQ upgrades twice now in a row in 2 episodes, so probably bound to happen at some point, but a very fun Canadian GP at the end of it then. Happy to kind of bounce back from what was a tough qualifying. If you guys did enjoy that episode, then be sure to hit that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're new around here, then do get subscribed for weekly full-on content. I've been aarava. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of the day. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.